One of the things I highlight on my channel are content creators that create unique and helpful products. Philip Reed is one of those content creators. In this video, we're going to take a look at my Philip Reed collection. We're going to talk about an upcoming Kickstarter that he is launching and some product that he has sent me. So let's get started. Welcome to Solitary RPG. Philip Reed is a content creator I discovered many years ago when I was playing a lot of 4 Against Darkness. At the time, 4 Against Darkness did not have a lot of supplemental material like it does today. And I was looking for something to add a little bit more immersion into the 4 Against Darkness world. Went on DriveThruRPG, just kind of looking for something to add meaning to things I was discovering in 4 Against Darkness. And that's when I discovered Philip Reed. He had some zines out. They're called the Delayed Game Master books or guides. And they were just, little bits of information that I could pull from to import into 4 Against Darkness. And I just liked his art style and his writing abilities, and that is what kind of got me started on my Philip Reed collection. Then when Morkborg first came out, there wasn't a lot of material out at that time. Now there's so much material out from Morkborg, and Philip Reed was adding information into that. And that is what I have discovered about my collection, is that he creates supplemental material that we can use in our games, and sometimes they're linked to another gaming system or they're just system neutral. And what we're going to do in this video is, first I'm going to talk about a Kickstarter that Philip Reed is going to be launching. Second, we're going to talk about the old school encounter decks. When I did a recent video talking about the outdoor encounter cards, I was contacted by Philip and he offered to send me some products. And when I was looking through the multiple pages on DriveThruRPG of everything he has, I pretty much have most of the stuff I want to have in my collection. But the outdoor encounter cards are relatively new. I did not have those, so he sent them to me as a thank you for supporting his work. Thank you very much for these. They're going to come in very handy with my white box cyclopedia games and any of the retro clones of D&D that I play, and I'm going to talk about those. Then we're going to kind of take a look through some of my collection of things that I have that were put out by Philip Reed. So let me clear my desk, and we're going to talk about that Kickstarter first, and then we'll dive into all of this content. OSR Dungeon Cards. This is a Kickstarter that is going live on September 18th, 2025. I am recording this on September 18th. However, it's 4:30 in the morning, so it is not currently live. But this is something that I will be adding to my collection to just enjoy it, because it is another one of those unique products that Philip Reed is putting out. What exactly is the OSR Dungeon Cards? This is a card system laying down cards to create a dungeon. However, there's a twist to it. The first thing I want to highlight is Philip Reed took the Creative Commons license for Maze Rats to come up with how to use these cards, or the words used on these cards. So if you're a fan of maze rats, you might be interested in this product because it will be an easy fit into that system. This printout came from Thru RPG. If you want to go over there, I will put a link in the description, and I will also put a link to the Kickstarter page if it's something you're interested in. What exactly is this? So instead of it being a dungeon room card, which we have a lot of those on the market, it's more of a dungeon section. So one card could be a whole gaming session depending on what's going on and what's happening. And you can put these cards together to create a little bit more of a larger dungeon, but you don't have to have a bunch of cards out. And I like that. It makes it a little bit more compact, especially for us solo players. Most of us don't have large gaming tables. One of the reasons I play solo is I don't have a large space, and I can just pull a couple cards out, and that would create my dungeon, and I'm not taking up that table space. On top of that, on the back of each card, so this will be one side, on the back of those cards, you will have descriptive words, and you can use these to help build your dungeon. And that's going to add so much more to the value of the cards. They are not predetermined, they are not set. They're just descriptive words. You can roll dice to determine what they are, or you can just pick based on your setting or your background or whatever you've created. And I like that. There's also other cards that are going to give you what inhabits the space. Again, just making it better for the player not to have to jump into a rule book or anything like that to create this scene. You have all this information on the back of the cards. You have traps, unusual details, things like that. And that is what this is going to provide. It's not real in depth. It's just basic information. It is pulled from Maze Rats. So you have a system link to it, and you can just have a few cards out on your table to create a dungeon. One of the things that came to my mind when I was going over this information is I can go out and get one of those pages where you put playing cards in them, and I can just put the cards in those playing pages to create my dungeon. And then I can use a dry erase marker and I can mark out things on the cards without damaging the cards with the page protectors or the card protectors, whatever you would like to call those. And I can keep my adventure there. And then if I have to stop, so those are usually 9 cards per sheet. So if I have a pretty large dungeon laid out, I can then just keep that page separate and go back to my adventure and not have to reset up the cards. I really like this concept, and I really think it's going to make these cards more valuable to my gaming moving forward. But that's the general idea of these cards. They're not super in depth. It's pretty straightforward, but having more information about the dungeon on the card, along with some descriptive words or inhabitants in the space, just helps with the generation of the adventure and keeps us moving forward and not having to go to other resources. And this is going to be linked to Maze Rats. I don't have all of the information based on these 2 pages, but it's enough to kind of give me a good understanding of how this system's going to work. So this is a Kickstarter. It's going to be live probably by the time this video goes out. If it is something that you may be interested in, and I am because I do enjoy Maze Rats, this is something you may want to add to your collection. Like I said previously, I was contacted by Philip Reed, and he did send me some products. So roundaboutly, we could say this is a sponsored video for the YouTube world. But what exactly are these? These are 4 decks, and these aren't your standard playing card decks. These are pretty thick decks, and these are just old school encounters. And there's 4 of these decks available, and I'm excited about them. So let's take a look. There are 72 random encounters in each one of these decks. And let me get that last card out. These are old school encounters that have the old school feel to them. There's no stats attached to them, so you could make these system neutral. It doesn't have to be used for an OSR game. You could use these in any game system. You may not have the specific encounter, but you can find a like encounter that you could use. And they're just simple to use. So here we have a D4+1 Hobgoblin. Hostile, they will flee if one or more of their group is killed. So you have a little bit of a behavior and exactly what you're going up against, and they just look cool. I love the art because it kind of takes me back to old D&D, and it's just neat stuff. Here we have 2D3 skeletons, indifferent. They ignore the party unless provoked. Then they fight to the death. So the way these are working is you get your encounter and you get a little bit of information about how they're going to behave. It's not a lot of detail, but it's enough to help you with your gaming session. Giant serpent, hostile, attacks the adventurers with its sharp teeth, will try to grapple one or more party members, attempting to crush them with its body. Only flees if it is reduced to half HP. So you are not trying to make anything up when it comes to the behavior. It's a little bit more like an oracle or just a response while playing. And it just goes on and on with all of the kind of old school encounters and things that have been used in many games over the years. Gelatinous cube, hostile. It won't stop attacking the party. It will follow them until it's destroyed. So now you have a cube chasing you down, which is always cool. And then you can just use whatever gaming system of your choice. If you do not have these specific encounters, you can either try to use something that might match it, or you might have to go outside your game. But for the most part, these are pretty standard old D&D OSR style encounters. Should be able to find most of this information. If you can't find it in a book, it wouldn't be surprising if you could just go online and find some sort of stats or something you can use for your game. But there are 4 of these decks, and each set has the same background, and they're all set up the same. So if there's 72 cards per deck, and if we do the math, we have, let me do the math real fast in my head. It is early. So 140 times 2, 280, 288 encounters. This is a monster manual. You don't have the stats, but you do have a monster manual in a card form. And you'll notice this a lot with Philip Reed's products, that he does do a lot of cards. He does have books, but a lot of the products that he puts out are just in card form. Me, I'm like man alone. I'm a card boy. I like cards, and they just make my game easier, simpler, especially when I can just randomly pull out a card and have an encounter. It just makes life easy, and I do enjoy that, especially when I'm gaming solo, is just having something that I can reach for real quickly, and I don't have another book on my table taking up space. Now with this deck, we're adding in some locations, so it's just not raw encounters. We have a little bit more information for the setting that we're playing in. So if we're doing an overland adventure, we have places that we can, or locations that we can find. So we have a solitary fountain, named after my channel. Abandoned. This stonework fountain and pool is in fabulous condition, especially considering how far from any potential caretaker. The party may choose to rest here, enjoying the clean water and the shade of the nearby tree. Perhaps a tossed coin will grant a wish. So now we have a little bit more added into these cards, giving them more value to the system, I guess we'll call this, or just having these be on your table when you're gaming, because now you have places you can find, and that's what they're all about. So you just have all this cool stuff in here that you can add to your game. I'm really liking this. This is what the old school encounter cards are all like. They are themed the same with color, just adding a lot of great encounters that you and your characters can run into. And when we talk about West Marches, that's video did very well. Seems to be a lot of interest in my concept with that. These will definitely be getting used in that system for some of my overland adventures and different encounters that I may be coming across. So yeah, that is the old school encounters. There's not a lot to really talk about with these. You kind of have a general idea. The third deck is the one, if you need locations, you may want to pick up separately. The other three decks are primarily encounters. Now what we're going to do is take a look at my Philip Reed collection of stuff. And I'm just going to kind of run through this and highlight some of the items that I have that I think are just unique. We're going to start with these two products. This particular book is my pride and joy of my Philip Reed collection, because this was his first hardback book that he put out, and I love the size of it. Obviously, you can tell it's a Mork Borg supplement. It's Callow's Book of Monsters, and it is just something I enjoy looking at. So it's got all your Morkborg colors in it, and it is just a book of all kinds of different monsters that you can run into. It is stitch bound. I love the stippling art that was used, and it's not the crazy layouts that we see in Morkborg. It's very straightforward, gives you a lot of information about the encounters. This is just a book I enjoy reading. I just love the writing, and the art is just amazing in this book. And it is, like I said, one of my prized possessions in my Philip Reed collection, simply because it was his first hardback book, and it's just gorgeous. And you can still pick this up. I believe it's in paperback now, and you can obviously get it in a PDF. If you know my channel and you know me, you know how much I enjoy having the physical books in my collection. And when you have a book that you really do admire, it is something that you cherish and take care of. There's also rumors in this book that you can roll on for your games. This is a great supplement for Morkborg. And then you have Castle Skullrot, which is a little bit of an adventure. And that's it. It is just gorgeous, and I love it. There's no like major text on the front. You just have the art. The back you just have compatible with Morkborg, and you have another image back here. And I just love it. It is my pride and joy for my Philip Reed collection. Tower of the Scoundrels. This is just really cool because it has a little 45 record in it. I do not have a turntable, so I can't listen to this, but you open it up and it has little, just like a record would be back in the days. Actually, I could say still today. I don't collect vinyl, so I don't know if they still do this with putting in little inserts, but the inside of it has all your information. Then you have little booklets for the different levels and what you can encounter. This is super unique. At the time when I picked this up, I've never seen anything like this. So I picked it up and I just love it. You have some vinyl here, a little 45 and a record sleeve. And this is just neat. And it's thick vinyl. So I used to have vinyl as a young man. And it is very thick vinyl. It is not thin vinyl. I don't know if this is even something that's still available as far as this format. I am sure you can probably pick up the PDF of this with all of the information. I just don't know if you can still get the physical version of this. Pressing vinyl is not something that can be easily done for like a regular thing, and there would have to be a lot of interest for a reprint of this in order for Philip Reed to decide if he is going to redo this. But I just love it. It's just really cool. And that's why I support the work that he does, because it's very unique stuff that you can add to your game, and it's just not another book that you're going to open up and have in your collection that you may use occasionally. When something's unique, you're going to have more of a desire to want to use it. The next thing I want to talk about is the Endless Demon deck. This is just really cool. So you have these cards, and I know Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive recently did a video on this, so I don't feel I need to spend too much time with it. But this is another Morkborg product that you can put into your collection, where you draw different sections of a demon to use in your game to create a very unique looking character, and it has all the stats. Just something that I remember from my childhood with certain books and things where you could change up the look of something by flipping pages. Kind of takes me back to that. But you have their head, which will give you certain information, mainly their stats. Their body gives you more information, HP and stuff like that. And then their feet, or the bottom half, which will even give you more information. So you can just take these cards, pull one out. So we got Frozen. And then you can pick out a body. Pyromancer, that's ironic, a frozen pyromancer. And we got some kind of viney, so we kind of have like three different elements mixed into this encounter, which already makes it very interesting and fun to use. So Aura of Cold special: before attacking this demon, each round passes a toughness DR12 test. Suffer 1 point of damage. So we have an ability that they're going to use: HP 19, morale 9, protective ruins minus D2, fiery blast D8, D2 targets. So it's got a little blast effect that does D8 damage, and it potentially could hit 2 targets. And then you just have a visual companions, Devil's Tongue. What a unique creature or demon that we have that we can add to our game. And it's just different, and I like it. And this is why I picked it up, because it creates some really cool looking and unique demons that you can run into. This can be your villain in your game, the one you're tracking down in the dying world, and try to remove it before it removes you. Now we're going to take a look at Sudden Scum. So this is another Morkborg product. This is to help you create characters quickly and uniquely. So we all know Morkborg is a very... characters don't live long in Morkborg. So what you have are your stats here for characters, And you're going to go through your cards one at a time. So you'll start with agility, go to presence, strength, and then toughness. And the cards will give you information that you can choose from, and you can create your character from that. This is a great supplement to Morkborg if you play a lot and you play like kind of that hardcore, characters are dying on a regular basis. When someone dies, they can just pull these cards, come up with a new concept real quick, and jump right back in the game. In addition to those cards, you have these extra cards. This Wicked Necromancer Demands, and also Somewhere Below the Surface. These are little adventure seed cards that you can use for your game just to kick things off and get things started. The way this works is you draw your agility card. My agility, -1. Given name, Julius or Josephine. Armor, light padded. Gear, sack and D3 torches, or D4 days of rations and a ladder, or nothing, and change your agility to 0. So it's giving you some options here. You have a special. When you were younger, you worked as a laborer in the city's dock district. You still have strong ties to several of the men and women who you met during those days. So you have something that you can pull from in your game. You have a second special on this particular card. You've spent time exploring the world. You gain a +2 bonus on all tests involving survival, sense of direction, and knowledge of a single forest or city of your choice. Very cool. So far we're building a pretty important character. We draw our presence card, -3. That's one of the things I love about Morkborg is your stats can be all over the place. When you draw a strength, take 3 cards and keep 1. So we're going to have a bad presence, but we have a better chance of getting something cool with our strength. So this might work out pretty good. And we have a surname, so now we're going to add to our name. Samoza is how I'm going to pronounce it. Weapons, Zweihander, and a knife. So maybe I don't take these weapons and I bring up my agility to 0, but now I have a weapon here I can use with no negativity to it. So that's awesome. And a Zweihander would be really cool. Now you also have another special. You spent a few weeks as a wizard's apprentice hoping to learn arcane secrets. You failed and you were turned away, forced into the world. The wizard hates you to this very day. When using a scroll, you suffer a -2 penalty to your presence test. Oh, bummer. So you'd be at -5. That would be terrible. And this one gives us a bad habit. You're constantly picking at scams. A full night's sleep restores D6 -1 HP. Some nights you lay awake for hours scratching at wounds and recover no HP. Awesome. So we have a bad habit. I love it. And we're going to now draw 3. Yeah, we're going to draw 3 strength cards and we'll get to choose one. So I got a strength 0, a -3, and a -3. Let's look at the 0 because that might be the best for us. So this is going to give us our HP base of 8. Disgusting feature. Oh, this is going to hurt. You were born on a cursed day, and since birth, your flesh has been abnormally pale. From time to time, as the GM wishes, strangers may mistakenly think you are an undead creature, and they will act accordingly. The curse has left you with a permanent -2 penalty to all presence tests. Oh no! Additionally, the ghosts of the world are somehow drawn to you, which the GM will use to harm you, no doubt. And then you have some class options here under the presence. Heretic Priest, see core rules. I don't know if I necessarily like that because that's going to make my presence -5. So I would probably start looking at -3 strength cards, but you get the gist. And there's no rule here for toughness, so we're just going to pull one toughness card. Toughness +3. +3 to HP modifiers. Sweet. Mystery. Once and only once you may pray to the ancient evils of the cosmos and beg for assistance. You discover a treasure of the GM's choosing before dawn. Your act of selflessness instantly triggers the following misery. So it's going to unleash the 6/4 misery from the core rules. Those who walk on two legs shall be nameless as the beast of the fields. So that's kind of cool. And if the misery had already been drawn, this prayer does nothing. So we've just kind of created a character pretty quickly, pretty easily, and we've added a lot of information into that character by drawing these cards that we didn't have to think about. And that is one of the things with Morkborg is you're kind of cycling through characters quickly, and trying to come up with all this information may not be fun. Having these cards just makes it simple, makes it easy, and you can get right into your game without having to spend too much time, because they're not going to last long anyways. So that is a look at the instant scum for Morkborg. Let me put this away and we'll move on. The Hex deck. This is just a cool overland adventure deck that you can put into your gaming system that gives you a little bit of a map and some information on the front and back that you can use for your overland adventures. These are really cool. They just make life easy if you're just wanting to explore different little sections that you want to put in your overland adventures. They got a title to them, so each one has a unique name to it, and that gives you a little bit of flavor text, and then you flip them around, and this gives you the different locations and some random encounters that you can explore. Such a great tool, especially for overland adventure games that maybe you don't want to have a piece of hex paper out. You can just throw some of these out on your table in any random direction. And then if you get some sort of token, you explore this area, you spend so many rounds in it or so many scenes in it, and then you can go to those different areas and you don't have a lot of things taking up space. Or you can just pull them straight off the deck if that's what you want to do. And you just choose the direction you want to go. So we're going to start here with the Hell's Troubled Waters. The water in this area is constantly bubbling and rough. Below the surface, the corpse of a dead demon bleeds hellfire into the sea. So this is where you're at. You kind of have this little setting. So we have some forest. We're going to have some sort of encounter here, some mountains. These could be cliffs if you wanted to. So maybe there's a little bit of a beachfront here, but we have cliffs here because we have mountains. You can interpret the cards however you want. The water boils constantly as a demon's corpse below pollutes the sea. Anyone touching the water is horribly burned. So we have something there to play with. Goblin's Rest. 6d6 plus 10 goblins reside in this tiny village. The little creatures are tired of conflict, wishing only to live as hunters, farmers, and artists. They'll flee if attacked, but will return once safe. So your adventurer could either go to this little village and interact with them if they'll let you. Again, if we're using oracles and things like that, that may not happen. But you have a behavior of these goblins. They're just trying to be farmers and they don't want conflict anymore. And then you have random water encounters. And this is a d6 chart. You can just roll on it and you can have a random water encounter. So if you're out in the burning water, and again, the burning water would just probably be here because that's where that is listed. So maybe this is normal water. That would be up to you. Or you could say everything is burning water. I would say this would be normal and it would just be this section where the demon lies. So if you go out fishing or or just go out to sail away or something like that, you can have your random encounter. Once you've completed that card, you can then just flip to the next one, depending on where you go. So if you are going to go out in the water, maybe there's an island across the way, so you have to go through 2 water hexes, rolling on the random encounter twice, get over here, and then you can start adventuring over there. But it's just a great tool, and it's easy to use. Again, creative writing, and it's not going to take up a lot of space on your table. Card Crypt is a deck box that Philip Reed has put out. He's put out a few different boxes, and I've backed them all because I think they're fantastic. I do like boxes to store my cards in and my zines in and just random pieces of information. And this is just a really great product. Yes, I know I can buy just the regular white boxes to put my stuff in, but the fact that these are printed and they look better on my shelves, plus there's information on the box itself, some charts you can roll on, and some information here on the back about the box itself, just makes them have value to the game. And when I back these on Kickstarter, again, more information in here for tables we can roll on. Some of the products that I backed, these boxes that I backed, came with little cards inside, little pieces of information that you can keep in your game, just to have some charts to roll on, and just some little pamphlets of information just to add a little bit more value to them. And these are just really neat, and this is why I backed them, because they're unique and they're different. Inside here, these are all decks that have been put out by Philip Reed. We have the deck of potions. So this is a 5e compatible product, but potions can be used in any game. It's just a potion. You can take those rules and make them work for anything. That's why I picked them up. But you have a deck of potions. I'm not going to open up all these cards. I'd be here for hours. But that's really neat. You have 2 different decks of chests. And these are just items that you would find in a chest. And they're just going to be randomized. And you can use them for any kind of classic game system or RPG system and make them work. You have these Shadow Spark cards, or these Shadow Dark cards. And one of them is for dungeon encounters. The other one is treasure cards. I like Shadow Dark's art, and I like Shadow Dark's concept, the game system. And these are something I can use to supplement those games, but they're called Shadow Spark because they are spark cards. And then we have 2 decks of the other side. These are dungeon rooms. And there is also a book that goes with these. So if you don't want the cards, you can buy the book. And I'll take a look at that when we get to the zine boxes that I purchased. But these are just going to be random dungeon rooms. This is what the back of the cards look like. So you have a door. What's beyond the door? You flip the card over. Bare room. The stone walls, floors, ceilings are completely bare, empty. There's nothing here at all. Yeah, right. If the heroes search this bare room, they may find, and you have a D4 chart that you would roll on, and this is what you might find. Number 3, a few dust bunnies. Seriously, it's empty. So you can add some humor to your game with some of these cards, some of the results, but you just have all these different rooms that you can just pull from. And then on the inside of the crypt box, we have more information. I really like these boxes. I will put it out there. I kind of wish there was more of them, or that we could get more access to purchasing these for our collections so that we can keep, as you can tell, I have a lot of Philip Reed cards, and it would be nice to have more access to purchasing these. I know you can buy the PDF for kind of the layout, but I don't know how to get them printed in a cardboard format. Let me get this closed and we'll move on. The way I keep a lot of my loose cards is in one of these acrylic dragon, I think these are Dragon Shield or one of the card manufacturers. These are just an acrylic kind of card holder, but it holds them upright And this is, in my opinion, one of the better ways of keeping your cards. If you're not keeping them in deck boxes, this is a better way of keeping them. These are all Morkborg cards for different features, and these are all my outdoor encounter cards. I'm probably going to pull out the Morkborg stuff and put in the old school encounters and the outdoor encounter cards just in this deck box. That way I can just pick it up. One of the downsides to these acrylic deck boxes is if you're not careful with them, you might see it here. They get scratched real easy, and that's kind of a downside to them. Just over time, you're going to get scratched up and look a little rough, but that's okay. If you're a sticker collector like me, I can put stickers all around them and make them look cool. I just need to find stickers that match. Maybe Philip Reed might make stickers. Here we go. That would be kind of a unique thing. Make stickers with encounters or some cool art with maybe some descriptive, like some of the outdoor encounters. And we could just use those and put them on our beat up books and things like that. But anyways, this is kind of how I have these cards stored. But inside here are just a bunch of text only cards, and you can get this as a PDF, these cards, and they are for Morkborg, and they're for a variety of different things. This one is the tiny statue carved from wood is only a foot in length. The wooden knight, standing rigid as if a royal guard on assignment, is worn and beaten. Many of the sharp details worn away by excessive handling and the ravage of time. The statue may have had value once before, but now it's a little more than a bizarre and unusual log to toss in a nearby fire. It might be worth a few silvers to a collector in the city. So those are one of the cards, and there's just this collection of, treasure cards that you can read, and that's all they are. They're just text, no real art on the backs of them, and I've had them sleeved for a long time, so let me check. I believe there's a little bit of art on the cover. Yeah, just the cover art. Here's the deck of corpses. So you find a random corpse, which is pretty common in Morkborg. Whatever caused the ceiling to collapse is still somewheres above. The thundering steps of the beast reverberating through the dungeon. The large stones and blocks that fell from the ceiling, opening a passage to the chamber above, landed on someone who is now a little more than bits of chunky meat and a puddle of mud. The once human man may be no more, but his coin purse, 3d6 silver, knife, and crossbow with 2d6 bolts are now yours for the taking. So if you stumble across a corpse in Morkborg, or any, I guess you could use these for any game. That's, they're just descriptive cards. There's no stats or anything. And just to let you know, I haven't opened this one. It's still sealed. This is deck 1 of Deck of Corpses. This is deck 2. I have not sleeved it or unsealed it yet. The next deck I have is Broken Bodies. So this is injuries. So if you wanted to add some cool injuries, there's a whole system here with the skulls on the bottom, kind of telling you a little bit more. Like when you get 4 skulls, you're dead, but 1 skull, fall unconscious for D4 rounds. You have D4 HP when you wake. So there's like a little bit of a system mixed in with these, but this would be a bash. The weapon's blow against your skull knocks you to the ground. Stab. The pain of a cut is so overwhelming that you double over and collapse. So you have some different attack types, bash and stab. So blunt weapons, bladed weapons. Fall unconscious for D4 rounds. You have 4 HP when you wake up. So these are just unique cards just to add a little bit more to your Morkborgy kind of games, which is awesome. The last deck we're going to take a look at is the Deck of Evil Objects. And this is just evil objects that you can find in a world. And it's a smaller deck, but it is just good written information that you can just pull from, put it on the table, and continue playing your game. You don't have to have a book open or anything. And that is one of the reasons why I like a lot of the Philip Reed products, is these are just simple cards that you can use to add to your game. And we've taken a look at the outdoor encounters, but I'll take another look at it. This is a deck. It was 4 different decks of cards, so there's quite a few cards in this deck. And these are just locations and encounters that you can have while having an overland adventure. Love the black and white art to these. Again, taking me back to when I was playing D&D as a kid, and the art was very simple. It wasn't a lot, there wasn't color. It was just like the book covers were color, but interior art was just black and white. A lot of pencil drawing. A lot of famous artists came from the D&D genre, and this just kind of harkens back to that time period for me. A little nostalgic. So those are what I keep in this plastic like deck box, but I like that the cards fit vertically in here, and I can just thumb through here, pull my card out, and I'm good to go. Now we're going to take a look at the Tomb of Zines, or the Box of Terror. So these are the same as the card crypt, but they're for zines. You have some art on the side. Sorry it's making so much noise because I have a bunch of stuff in there. You have a little bit of information on the back for like a table or a chart you can roll on. I'll try to keep that noise to a minimum. But this is the Tomb of Zines. You can store all your favorite zines in here, which I love. So when I'm playing a certain game, I can just put my zines in the box and go on. That's why I would love to see more of these, because I have a lot of favorite zines and games that I like to play. So when the OSR dungeon cards come out for Maze Rats, I can put my Maze Rat zine in here. I can put the cards in here. I can put my character sheets in here. I can keep my whole game in a box, just like when we were playing old school D&D as children. Everything fit in the box. You just had the box. You grabbed your box and you could go play your game. That is what this reminds me of, and I love it. Let's go ahead and open up the Tomb of Zines. And just like the other one, you have tables and charts in here. And inside here are just a lot of pamphlets and different things that Philip Reed has put out. This is more of my book zine holder. This is on the other side. So when we were talking about those cards, this is the book version of this. I know you can get this as a PDF, so if you do not want to get the cards, or if you just want to get it now, you can go over to DriveThruRPG, you can download this, and you have all of these rooms that you can enter, descriptive information, and a little table to roll on for that particular room. Some of the best things that I have from Philip Reed just are these unique products that he's put out, little folders of adventures or encounters. This is D12 skeletal encounters. So inside here you just have information, and you can keep little pamphlets of information inside there, like character sheets and whatnot, so that you can keep yourself organized. And then there are these little paper adventure foldouts, which are just awesome. And that is why I like what he puts out, because you just have all this unique stuff that you can use in your games. Tomb of Skulls are 6 skeletal encounters that you can put into Morkborg. This, like the old roadmap, you just have these encounters that you can come across. And this is just neat. And I like the fact that it's a fold-out map, came with a little folder. There's just so much different stuff in these boxes that I have. More little cards. Then I just got all these little pamphlets of different things. And these are like, well, they're all a little bit different, but they could just be an encounter that you can come across, or a little adventure that you can come across and play your Morkborg style games. And these These are just awesome. And I just like having them. This is a little bit smaller. The wizard summons. So what does the wizard summon? You've got a D30 different things that the wizard can summon. And just so much different products that Philip Reed has put out. Oh, get that one out. So this one has D20 random encounters, more vile foes. Let me flip it over. And what do we got here? This is our introduction. So this is a little adventure. It's been a while since I've looked at this particular one. So this is just really cool stuff. So return to the Valley of the Despair. This is just cool stuff. So this is a box that I keep a lot of my Philip Reed, just my random stuff that I've collected over the years. I just like having it in one place, so that way when I am looking for something specific, I can just jump to this box. This is why I would like to see more of these or have access to more of these, just to keep more stuff in them, because I do like the idea of having boxes. The box of terrors. This is actually where I keep my products for Forbidden Solemn. So I have all of my Forbidden Solemn products in this one box. So that way when I want to play the game, I can just come in here and I have everything that I need for my game. Even though this box isn't particularly meant for Forbidden Solemn, you still have some charts you could use for those games, but this is one of those games that when I want to play it, I can just grab this box and I have everything I need to play that game. And I do have more stuff that doesn't fit in the box, but that's a whole nother story. And that is why I like these boxes. And they're really cool. And having access to more of these would be fabulous. Or seeing new ones come out, maybe a Shadow Dark one, or maybe something for old school like OSR style games would be awesome. More deck boxes, because we do have a lot of cards in our collection, would be neat. You could also put dice in here. Nothing saying that this has to be for cards, but unfortunately the way they close with the side pieces might be hard to keep dice in it, but you probably could if you just wanted to make a dice box. So that would be neat. Maybe something, again, I'll throw another idea out. Create like a standard box, like one with a lid, and make a crypt of dice, and maybe come up with some random way of reaching in and pulling out a certain die for a certain roll and rolling the dice. I'm sure if anyone could create something unique for a dice storage box, it would be Philip. And that's kind of my collection. I know this is probably a longer video than normal, but I did want to celebrate Philip Reed's contribution to the gaming community. He puts out a lot of great products that help supplement our games, and they're not terribly expensive. Everything pretty much, it'll go up on Kickstarter, but it'll probably be a print on demand through DriveThruRPG. So you know the quality if you're getting it through DriveThruRPG. I don't think the boxes were created through DriveThruRPG. No, but I don't know. I don't know all the who did what in the background type things. But the cards and the books, for the most part, come through DriveThruRPG. And I just think what he does is amazing. The art has a vibe to it for the games that I enjoy playing that matches the games themselves, and the creativity in the writing and what the cards offer are awesome. I am going to put the link into the OSR dungeon cards, because I do feel this is just a great way to play our dungeon adventures without having to have like multiple cards with rooms all over the place. Just need 3 or 4 cards out. You have a dungeon, you can go adventuring for a session, and then you can put them in like a little page sleeve thing, and you'll be good to go. So that concludes this video. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.